Hey everybody! If you spend as much time with young children as I do, you'll know that they seem to have a nearly unlimited creative capacity. Whether it's make-believe role-play sessions that go on over multiple days, elaborate multi-page drawings, or entire rooms transformed by buildings made of blocks, young children never seem to lack creativity or the willingness to bring their ideas to life. So what happens when we grow up? What happens to that creative impulse of the vast majority of us? So many of us tell ourselves that we're not good enough to be creative or that we're not creative types. Children seem to utterly lack this self-doubt, but children's creativity is so much more than an absence of self-consciousness. So over the next few weeks, I want to introduce some of the things that children do every day that allow them to be so consistently creative. Adults who want to be more creative would do well to learn these lessons from the youngest among us. They truly are, as Alison Gopnik has noted, the research and development arm of the human species. A common refrain of people seeing modern art paintings is some version of, "Ugh, my kid could make that." It's meant to be derogatory, but to me it isn't. I mean, sure, your kid could make that, but could you? If you really examine children's artwork, though, you'll be struck not by the quality, but the volume. Children make a lot of stuff. It's not all good, but over time we do see a clear progression toward mastery. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, writes, "In any creative endeavor, you have to give yourself permission to make junk." Children don't need to learn this lesson, they're wired for it. Children just go ahead and make stuff. The art center of any ECE setting is always awash in cut-up paper and scribbles and glued paper and drawings and paintings of all shapes and sizes. They don't worry about what they're making, though they do love to imitate what they see others doing, but they just want to try. Recently, on the wonderful podcast, People I Mostly Admire, I heard novelist John Green talk about how he wrote 40,000 words of a novel set on a desert island. He didn't think it was good enough and abandoned the book entirely save for one sentence. It was kind of a beautiful day. That sentence went on to become his most successful and acclaimed novel, The Fault in Our Stars, which was eventually made into a huge Hollywood movie. Children also seem to understand this idea intuitively. I don't know what I'm making, but it might have value. And if not, the very act of making it is valuable. In War of Art, Stephen Pressfield talks a lot about how our negative self-talk and our over-identification with success of a product stops us from starting creative endeavors. Resistance knows that the amateur composer will never write his symphony because he's overly invested in its success and over-terrified of its failure. The amateur takes it so seriously, it paralyzes him. Children are not afraid of failure until we teach them to be. If you want to be more creative, you have to unlearn some of these lessons of pride that infected you as you left childhood. Children are not afraid to fail. Good early childhood education is designed with plenty of opportunities to try and fail baked in. We know that young learners can take it. They're wired to learn lessons, to actually learn lessons. The lesson learned is, oh, that didn't work, let's try something else. Not, that didn't work, let's give up. I take a lot of inspiration from the children I work with. I'm back in a classroom after 10 years in management. I suspect a year ago, I would have talked myself out of making videos. I'm not a video maker. I don't know how. People might judge. Who do you think you are? God, you look weird on camera. But here we are. I've made this video, and now you're watching it. I made it because I can. But more importantly, because I got over my fear of making junk. I'm just making stuff. Some of it's good, some of it may well be junk. But week in, week out, I'm just making stuff. The product gets a little better every time, and the process is rewarding and stimulating. I've really learned something from the kids I hang out with every day, and isn't that awesome?